Welcome back to the City Current Radio Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're honored to be with our next guest, David Ledgerwood. He's the co-founder and managing partner of Add1Zero. How are you doing, David?
Jeremy, it's good to be here. It's a beautiful day in Nashville.
Hey, well, you're affectionately known as Ledge, so we'll also call you David and Ledge throughout this. We'll have some fun, but let's start with a little bit of context, especially on your end as the co-founder. Give us a little bit of history for launching Add1Zero.
Absolutely. So in my various entrepreneurial adventures, I had a bunch of opportunities to help companies grow, particularly in the B2B services sector. And this is going to be, sort of technology related services, marketing services, consulting, things like that. And I noticed there was a pattern where those companies would be able to really be founder led into the sort of mid six figures, 300 to 500 type of revenue, and they would almost always stall there. And I wondered why that was, and we looked into it, and it turns out that founders of that ilk, they end up having to do their own sales and grow the company and run all the things. And when they get to that point, you can't do it all. And so then they have to decide, do I want to be a full-time sales founder, or do I want to be an operator and a delivery, related CEO? The people who choose the second route there are the folks that we work with. And so we'll take over their entire revenue function. We'll do all the sales ops. We'll do all the revenue work. We'll do all the closing. We take their sales calls for them. And there apparently wasn't anybody doing this. I just thought it was a pretty normal idea, but it turned out to be a good idea. And I guess that's how entrepreneurial adventures go. So we help those companies grow from the sort of 500 range to the 5 million range. And then they're ready to get off to the races. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so you're looking at a 10x multiplier is the goal on your end, or more, obviously. And so with each different company, talk about how you're able to, because when you talk about sales, there is a specific thing you are selling, whether that's a service, a product. And you mentioned obviously the tech background and that side of it, but talk about how you're able to integrate, to learn, to be able to do a good job with all the different components and different types of companies. So there's a common thread, but there's obviously a lot of differentiation. So share a little bit of how the magic works on your end on the back end.
Sure. I had this theory that, no founder ever wakes up in the night at 3 o'clock in the morning sweating about anything, looking at the ceiling, except I need more sales. And so how can we distill that down into, the classic sales thing would be, hey, we want to sell based on value, not based on features. And service companies in particular have this idea. You see it all the time, right? How many times have you been pitched something or said, we customize every engagement to match exactly what you need? No two customers the same, and that works really good to develop revenue up to the point of that place that we step in. It turns out you can't do that anymore, because to scale, you need to standardize. And so the thing we need to do is look at all the stuff you do for clients and kind of turn that into a standardized packaging, if you will. And you might be able to name those as packages and sort of really put them into tight buckets, or you can at least figure out how exactly do I sell this thing in a standardized way. And it really does turn out that there are not too many variables involved in that. Founders, myself included, get really down in the weeds and obsessed with the details and features of our thing. We love our baby. We want to sell that. We want to tell everybody all about it. But the reality is that the path to sales is simplicity. We want to make it easy for people to buy and consume what we do and get that down to very basic value statements. And when you do that, it turns out that there really are not that many things we need to tell the customer. We need to listen more to the customer and explain to them the value of what we do. So yes, we need to digest all the little special things about the product or service. And ultimately we put those in the back of our head, and we have to become relationship managers on behalf of that client and really listen to the customer and be able to explain what we do in a simple fashion. So it's not as hard as you think to consume what a company does and turn it into a set of deliverables, if you will, that we can train folks to sell, on their behalf. So I guess it's all different, and it's also all the same, if that makes sense. So,
yeah, a little bit of both.
Mhm.
what are some of the questions that you like to ask to get to the point of what are the items that can be scalable, that can, that are differentiation, but ultimately that you can fine tune and navigate through? Or what are the things that you're looking for? So in other words, give us a little bit of a glimpse of just what you're looking for, the questions you like to ask to figure out, okay, these are all the things you're saying that you're doing that are customized, but
Right.
ultimately can be standardized.
Yeah, I mean, look, the main question, and you would be shocked how hard it is for somebody to answer this, but what do you actually do? What do you actually do for these customers who pay you money? And do you even know, of all the customers that pay you money, which things they're really happy about? Like, why do they actually pay you that money? And so many times we'll go back to the existing customers and say, you selected us. You chose to pay us money for a thing, and you stuck around and you still pay us money. Can you tell me about that? Why is that? And many times it'll come back to, we had one customer that it really, they thought it was all about the quality, and they thought it was all about the complexity and all the things we do, and we're so different. And ultimately the customer said, you guys just do a good customer service job. Your process is smooth. We don't have to manage you. It's hassle-free. And so we came back and we said, listen, nobody cares about all those features of the thing. They stick with you because it's not a pain to work with you. And let's focus on that. Let's tell all the prospects that dealing with us is different than dealing with the competitors because it's just not a pain. It's easier. We take care of you. It's hassle-free. And they ended up actually trademarking the hassle-free process. That was what mattered. So that's the value. So the question is really about just what do you actually do here that is not customized, that you didn't have to shoehorn somebody into your process? And that's the repeatable thing. And the special sauce is very often the hidden thing. We found it in our own business that it's the thing you take for granted when you go out there because it's easy for you. And it was almost will over complexify stuff when we're trying to sell our own thing. It must not be that easy. Well, what is that easy? In our case, it was nobody goes out and tries to actually just represent you and sell your stuff and bring you more revenue. That's all you care about. And so we just kind of focus on the simple stuff. And then we learn ways to make the operation more efficient. So a lot of times the buying process just has a lot of friction in it. It actually has nothing to do with what you offer as a company. It has to do with you're just making it more difficult to buy from and pay you. And so let's fix that too, shorten that sales cycle. And that's a lot of stuff that happens. And I won't lie, it's a ton of work. We come into a company, it's a good 60 days of us trying to figure out what's going on here. But we do immediately get on calls, and we're trying to do a customer discovery process while we're actually trying to win that early revenue. So get us on calls right away. We want to talk to real customers. We write down everything they have to say, think about all those objections, and rapidly iterate. So it's a very agile, sort of flexible process. I don't know what the market wants from you. I do know that enough of them paid you money to make about $500,000. Let's figure out how to get more to get you 5 million. Yeah. And I don't know, it's part art, part science, and paying attention to data, and sort of just run the plays.
When you're looking at on your end the different ways that you can engage, you have different layers, different levels, so to speak. And one of them obviously is more of just the consultative side. And then others is you step in and you can really be almost everything for that company. So talk about the scope on your end of stepping in and working with different companies.
Sure. Everybody wants us to be able to distill the magic down into a thing and just give it to them. And we'd love to do that. And ultimately, it just comes down to, do you have the capabilities on your staff to do that? And what do you know or not know about the people who are buying from you? And it's just like, if there's a consulting piece, it's at the beginning. Now, I will say that I never wanted to set out to be a consultant for dollars. Again, not because I don't like dollars, but because I didn't find that made, really an order of magnitude change for anyone. That if we could in fact come in and do these things, the objective for us and the vision of our company is that we want the founders we work with never to have to worry about cash flow again. And to do that, we have to sort of step in and do the additional work. Are we happy to advise and try to help you turn the people and processes that you have into the magic money making machine? Yes. Is it actually more difficult than doing it for you? Also, yes. And so I'd like to say that we are a transformational machine that can just give you the playbook of what it took us 20 years to figure out. And the reality is that's not always true, but we'll be happy to help. So more often than not, it's far more beneficial to say, let us come in and run this entire revenue function for and with you while you become an excellent operator who can execute, deliver flawlessly for your clients, and continue to get those really great referrals, continue to get the really great testimonials. Like, that's the stuff that's really important. We don't know how to do your thing. We know how to wrap up your thing with a really pretty package on it and sell it so that you can do your thing. So are there different ways to engage? Absolutely. The folks who actually achieve the adding of 1-0 kind of go all in there, and we can step that up. But we really do closers as a service. We run all the operations, your CRM, all your processes, everything. So the moment that customer comes in and makes a lead on your website, all the way to when they turn into a signed contract, like that's our world. And there's a lot there. I can draw excessively long flow charts and documents, and we bring all that to bear. But it's not an easy process. In a sense, it's simple, but it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, I was about to say, like anything, it sounds amazing, but to your point, there's so much to it. And that's why also, to your point, it's more valuable for you to be able to handle it, because you know all the way through how to do it and do it well and achieve the results, versus handing the playbook. And if they don't really know how to do that, then you're giving them the playbook, but ultimately they can't deliver on the playbook. And so you have to have the skilled positions to be able to deliver on the playbook, to run the plays. What's something that you've learned working with a client that has made your company stronger? Or what's something that you've learned just through an experience that has made your company stronger?
Every client makes our company stronger. And, what I always look for is the place where the playbook breaks down, and there are unique things. And so we recently had a client where it's like, you know what? Despite years of being able to package and name things and sell packages, it turns out that your thing actually is a completely unique delivery for every single client. So I have been now laid bare in my theory. However, what can we do to figure out the way to best deliver as quickly as possible with that? So in this particular client, they were doing 8 hours of free consulting for every prospect that walked in the door, thousands of dollars of work just to get this sort of creative, strategy driven type of consultative sale. And I think people will resonate with that who have gone through this. So you put so much into it, but if you're closing like 5% of these, it's an enormous amount of work. And so what we're able to do is then turn that consultative process and all the inputs there into a 1 hour process, so that we can now pass very quickly from prospect to consult to execution. And in that way, you're talking about saving, 7/8 of the time that you would have put into it. And also, let's figure out how to best filter. Everybody doesn't deserve that. Like, it's obviously that some leads are better than others. And so just evaluating that. So yeah, we learned something from every client. I learned from my own experience that what we call sales ops or revenue operations, the enormous amount of work that happens when someone is not, in fact, on a sales call is really the most important stuff. That's the 80% of the iceberg that's kind of under the water. Us salespeople who get to, sit in front of the now camera or in person and have those meetings, that's the analogy might be that's like the actor on the stage who gets to, run that performance. And yes, we need to know our script. We need to have passion and we need to deliver. And none of that fills the auditorium with ticketed seats or runs the lights or the sound or builds the scenery or does costumes or does, all the work necessary to fill that auditorium with customers. That the rest of that is actually what's important. We just benefit from that setup. And everybody says, oh, they're the star. The star of what? If all that work didn't happen, I'd be yelling at an empty auditorium. And that's what often happens. And I think people don't understand that full process. So that was the big learning, is let's build all the stuff at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. How has the pandemic impacted your organization? Has there been an impact? Have you seen growth coming out of it in terms of the importance of marketing, especially digital marketing?
Mhm.
How has the pandemic impacted your business?
I don't want to say I'm glad for the pandemic. It was hard for everybody. And we did see, so we get paid when clients get paid. We only make money when they make money. So if there's a slowdown in sales and lead opportunities at the client, we can't close any deals. So we did see some dip there. However, from a broader demand perspective, we were the ones shaking the tree sort of in 2019 saying, you can sell anything you do on a Zoom call. And people would say, no, you can't do that for us. You need in-person sales. You need to travel. You need to do all this stuff. So that conversation went, in our favor. All of a sudden, people were really keen to know, how do you sell millions of dollars of stuff on a Zoom call? Because now we need to do that. And so in that sense, the zeitgeist has shifted, kind of in our favor. And it's no longer weird to have a completely remote sales force. So it's a mixed bag, but we did see tremendous growth in 2020. And I would attribute it to the fact that there's a little bit more openness to, new paradigms of sales. And, just, man, we really need to think differently about this now. We have been laid bare in terms of cash flow management and, all the things. I mean, the reality is we work on revenue. It's not just sales. So we're often asked to, come in and consult with the companies on, how do I manage my budget? How do I do this? How do I, so I guess it's a gateway into the trust factor of just saying, yeah, in fact, we do know how to run the business, because now you need to fund your operations in a totally different way than you ever did before. Every client shifted to a fully remote workforce at the same time of dealing with all that. And we had already done that. We built that from the beginning. So in a sense, we became surrogate, kind of consultants on how to run a remote staff as well, put the right tooling in place and all those things. So it's been a ride. It's the same for everybody. It's lots of learnings, but it's been opportune, and I'm also glad that it's passing just like everybody else. So.
Very well said. What's one thing you wish everyone knew about Add1Zero?
I wish for every founder to have the experience of being able to just do what they do best. And if you are a sales-driven human, go get operating people, COO, whoever it is, to run your company, and just understand that you're going to be a sales-led, company, and that's different. And what I want people to know, I guess, the way about what we think and is sort of about our company is there is an option if you hate selling as a services B2B sort of founder, and you just want to be an executor. You love doing your craft. You want to do that thing, build the company around that, build your team. There's a solution that isn't like all the other solutions, which were, well, I should just hire a SDR, or I should just hire somebody to go hunt deals, or a VP of sales, or an outsourced company, or I just need more leads, or there's just massive problem of being able to process the complexity of, I need more sales. And we know how to do that. And so it's cool to have those conversations and just be able to help. We also have a community group we call the Expert Community, XPERT, and everybody's welcome to join that. We do monthly Zooms with all kinds of learning, free resources, all that stuff. So whether or not it's a client, we just want to help founders make more revenue and never have to worry about cash flow. So, that's the fun work when the light bulb goes on and somebody's not stressing the next payroll cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll wrap up with contact information, website. Where do we go to learn more?
It is Add1Zero, ADD1 0.co. If you want to spend lots of money and help us buy the .com, you can let me know, but it is .co right now. I'm on LinkedIn, David Ledgerwood, all kinds of content on there. I love talking to founders. So very accessible, and would love to talk to anybody that just is trying to figure out how to make more money.
Well, David, thank you for all you do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeremy. This is fun. Thanks so much.